This game was played in the first round. Amongst the guests of honor was the famous German grandmaster Lothar Schmidt, a personal friend of Bobby Fischer and a well-known chess collector who has one of the best and largest chess libraries in the world. He told me afterwards that this game is a piece of art and will be his favorite for many years to come. I guess he said this because I played it in Renaissance style. David Bronstein. Hello chess lovers, Zoran here, and in this video I want to share with you that same game mentioned above, which was played between legendary Soviet chess grandmaster David Bronstein and Soviet chess grandmaster Alexander Zaitsev. This game was played in 1968 at Lasker Memorial. As mentioned above, this game is from round 1 and Bronstein opened up with e4, c5 by Zaitsev. Sicilian defense is on the board. Knight c3 e6, Knight f3, Knight c6, Bishop b5. We have the closed Sicilian Knight d4. Bishop goes back on d3 and Knight takes f3 check. Well, theory recommends Knight e7, allowing Knight takes d4, after which Black is protecting the pawn on d4 with a kingside knight. This is how the theoretical line goes, but in the game we see Knight takes f3 check, which is allowing White to switch the queen into the game as soon as possible. Bishop d6, Queen e3, White wants to go for f4, Black stopped it with e5, Knight b5, Queen e7, b4. In the style of wing gambit, Bronstein is expanding on the queen side. He wants to switch this dark squared bishop into the game. C takes b4 and Queen g3, hitting on g7. Interestingly, at this point, Knight takes d6 followed by a3 is also playable, but seems like that the move made by Bronstein is even more interesting. He's attacking the pawn on g7, and now if you protect it with g6, then only now White can go for Knight takes d6 and then can play Bishop b2. If f6, then White can castle kingside and then can go for f4. White has a nice bishop pair, and the vulnerability of the long diagonal also gives White nice attacking chances. In the game to Queen g3, Zaitsev answered with Bishop b8. He decided to keep alive this dark squared bishop, but at this point, allow me please a little spoiler. For the rest of the game, this bishop and the rook will stay imprisoned in that corner. a3, d5, f3, rook g8, g3, bishop h3, he takes d5, bishop g2. Well, somehow Zaitsev managed to activate his light squared bishop, but it's not like that this gives him much. And now with d6, White is burying the bishop and the rook on the queen side. B takes a3, rook f1, e4, bishop e2, rook g5, c4, strengthening the knight on b5 further, a6, rook takes a3. This pin is playing a key role and Black can't capture on b5, thus activating the rook also becomes a huge problem. You can't even make a move like Bishop a7 because of this Knight c7 check, and Black is in trouble. At this point we see the exchange of light squared bishops on e2, Knight d7, d4. Well, what is interesting, playing d4 on move 22 is even stronger, you know. At this point, first playing d4 and then capturing on a3 is even better. White could establish a very nice pawn center, but instead we see d4 only in here, which allowed Black to capture en passant. Rook c5, bishop f4, f6, king d4. We all know that in the endgame the king is the strongest attacking piece, and Bronstein is simply following that good old rule. b6. Well, if rook takes c4, then king takes c4, and in the end of the day, White is not forced to capture on b5. There are these king b4 or king b3 moves. In the game, b6 was played, rook e1 check, king d8, rook e6. White can now double up his rooks, or I don't know, rook c7 can be also played. That's why Black played knight e5. Rook takes e5, rook takes c4 check. A cunning move, Of course, now you should never capture on c4, because at this point already it's black who can prevail. If here, then rook takes a3, yeah, and in the end of the day black has this bishop takes d6 move. Black is winning. Of course, in here you could, for example, play rook takes b5, but this is not what you should do when you are winning. King d5 by Bronstein. Here we go. Rook c5 check, king e6. At this point we see the exchange of rooks on e5. Black's position is totally paralyzed, guys, and black is like 2 pieces down, you know. King d7, king d5, a5, rook a4. In Bronstein's tight grip, black finds himself in Qxg7. h5, rook f4, and at this point finally resignation followed. If a4, then rook f7 check, and then king e6. Yes, the game is over. d7 followed by rook f8. Mate is the threat, that's why after rook f4 finally resignation followed. Well, this is it, dear chess lovers. Hope that you enjoyed this exciting game. Of course, in this game we didn't see spectacular sacrifices, but I find this one very instructive. First, I liked that queenside pawn sacrifice, then how Bronstein imprisoned these 2 pieces, and then with a nice king walk he finally forced a resignation. In the end, a chess puzzle for you, where the task is to find the winning move for white. As usual, we'll wait for your answer in the comment section. Feel free to check out my earlier uploads as well. We'll see you in my next video. Take care.